Hello, everybody, and welcome to the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Washington, D.C. We are about to watch Wing Chun Yam play against William Jensen. William Jensen, the Hall of Famer. Wing Chun Yam, the king of the hill.
That's right, and
oh, look at this. This is nice. This is
a couple of one-drops fighting each other with heroic, and I'm curious to see what Wing's second color is, because I think it might be the same as
it is.
Yeah, we got a mirror match.
We got some Boros beatdowns going on.
We do, and I can tell you that Huey Jensen has some serious trump cards for this matchup. Hopefully we'll see him. The way he described his deck to me was 20 really good cards and 3 kind of stinkers.
Well, I mean, you know, some great heroic cards on the table right now.
Jeez, no kidding. Every card on the table has heroic. It's like a BDM board state.
Oh, I love it. I mean, usually they're all on my side of the table, but... So Crone Skyguard joins the team, along with a favorite hoplite from Huey here. And now he's thinking about his second turn play. He's thinking, he's taking his time here. Puts down a mountain. Okay, just says I'm magma spraying that.
You'll note here that Huey decided to do it during his turn. That's to play around any potential pump spells that would get it out of range.
And he doesn't. He doesn't attack.
Interesting. No block, no attack.
He's representing God's Willing here.
Yes. A Johnny's Presence is another
Johnny's
card
Presence,
he could have.
absolutely. And he's just like, you're not going to attack. You know what's going on. You are not going to attack into me.
Interestingly here, Flame Speakers will.
Yeah.
Not a great magic card, but it does get the job done if your goal is to simply target your creature.
And to bash in with a 3/3.
And now it's interesting because Wing has sort of one-upped the what do you have game, because now even if Huey has one of those cards,
right, he
doesn't kill the Satyr Hoplite.
Oh, but we're getting a block.
So Huey says, I call and I've got Mortal's Ardor.
Wow. It was the third option.
Yeah, now this is a risky play, as Wing could have some type of removal spell to respond.
Like, does the counter go on? Well, then doesn't matter.
Then it doesn't matter, because now, of course, the Hoplite is going to have all damage that would be dealt to it prevented. So even if Wing wants to go for a combat trick, it's just going to be saving his Hoplite here, and that's what he's going to do.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's interesting. It's risky, right? I mean, Huey calls, and what can happen is he can get lightning struck here. He can get
Fall of the Hammered.
Fall of the Hammered. He can get magma jetted. He can get magma sprayed. Like, there's quite a few cards there that Wing can have that gets him. But he didn't have one, and Huey now has a 2/3 that's going to do good blocking duty.
I see a godly card
you sure do.
In Jensen's hand.
It is divine, my friend.
Oh wow.
And
but in the meantime, he's got a 4/4 he has to deal with here. It's 2 +1/+1 counters and a +1/+1 from the Flame Speaker as well. And then Eagle of the Watch.
One card.
Ever Vigilant. Yeah, I see maybe a couple of, and then just on one of the right, north of 20 cards.
Right. Yes, the 20 to 24. This is going to be interesting too.
Is this a 16 lander for Huey?
I don't think so. I think it's 17, but I'm not sure. I didn't look at the deck sheet. I just thumbed through the actual deck in my hand. But Huey, you're going to see him go into the tank quite a bit here. This is the type of match that is not going to let him have really any mistakes.
Right. So Bolt of Keranos takes out the flyer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Does still have a land drop coming as well here. But he's behind, and he's going to need to find a way to deal with this 4/4 Hoplite.
He gained some life off of that Mortal's Ardor there.
Correct, he did. That's a good point. He's still at 18.
Speaking of gaining some life, Laguna Band Elder.
It's a nice one. Helps race in all categories, gains him some life, puts a 3-power creature out there.
It's a 3/2 for 3. It's perfectly reasonable. That looked like a Stormcaller of Keranos.
That's exactly what it was. And I think in this deck, that's probably in that 20 to 24 category as well. It's not going to have any way to activate it that I know of.
So scary to block that guy.
I never blocked one, I don't think, ever.
Yeah.
Even I don't block that creature.
Any trick at all.
Right. So Huey plays a Stormcaller of Keranos. Post-combat, he's not going to be attacking with it, so it's going to sit there and try to prevent the Laganaban Elder from attacking.
Yeah. He'd like to trade there and, you know, reserve the right to figure out, by as many turns as possible, to figure out, wow.
Yeah, now Harvest Guard,
Harvest Guard, I'll say it,
yeah. It's going to put a pinch in that plan.
So he returns the favor, no damage. Prevent the damage that would be dealt to the Elder. Can't really block it at all.
Right. And this is interesting. So Huey has Iroas in his hand, and it just doesn't do anything here.
Right.
It's not active, and attacking is just not the name of the game right now for Huey, as he's way behind on the life total race. But thankfully,
it's Stone Shock Giant.
I like that. It's a much better blocker here.
Doing a pip count. We're at 4.
Yep. So with Iroas, he'll be 1 away, and now that is a great blocker.
But time is slipping away for him.
Oh, absolutely. Like, Wing is, you know, 1 trick or removal spell away from delivering some savage beats
well,
here.
I think any attacks he makes here, Jensen has to block. Oh.
Interesting.
1 card.
So he gets a trigger from the Harvest Guard Alseids from his Aegis there. And he's going to target the Hoplite, and he's going to get in there for 4. And now Huey has to decide what he wants to do. He can chump block with his Stormcaller.
He could go to 3.
Or he can go to 3. It's risky business. Yep. I mean, he's got to assume that Wing doesn't have a burn spell in his hand, but still.
That's what he does.
Gets down close. Yep. So down to 3 he goes.
Draws a 6th land.
Which he actually kind of needed here. He's got a 6-drop in his hand, and it does block. So I think he kind of wants to get that on the battlefield here. Aegis of the Gods, though, is a 2-1 as well. It's not quite lethal on its own. This is going to be really close. It's not going to take much for Wing to break through here, but Huey may have stabilized. I think he's got the 5/4 there, too, the really mad haste-giving giant that I can't remember the name of. What is that? Endless, is it Cyclops of Endless Fury?
Yes.
I think that's what it's called, right? It's a 5/3?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Eternal Fury.
Eternal Fury. So
all of Huey's creatures have haste now.
yeah. And Huey has stabilized here, sort of. But it doesn't take much. Ooh. Yeah, so Wing can cast that. He's got a land, and he just drew the
Supply line cranes.
But it is not an artifact, so he doesn't get a Harvest Guard. I'll say it's trigger here. But he makes a lethal 3/5 flyer in the air. And there's not a lot here. I mean, Huey's going to need to find, he's got Iroas in his hand, but he needs a Divine Verdict or something along those lines to get out of this. He doesn't have anything with reach. He finds Forgeborn Oreads. Now, there's no way he can get in for 17 here, right?
I don't believe so.
Even with Iroas.
I mean, there's still blocks that.
I mean, Iroas would have haste.
Oh, yeah.
That's 5 or 7 more. But unfortunately, I think that Huey would need to play like a 2-drop that had a colored mana symbol on it, in addition to Iroas, to be able to even facilitate the attack. And then I'm assuming that Wing Chun can also not die.
He's
with
got 6 there.
blocks.
He'd have 8 with Iroas.
Oh, right. Of course he would. Yeah. So Iroas, it does actually have haste here. But even then, my gut tells me, without sort of the no math here, that he actually can't get in for lethal, and then Wing can just attack with his 1 supply line cranes and finish off Huey. But maybe it's worth a shot. Maybe. I think the question for Huey is, does he want to show it to him? Right. I mean, Huey has to figure out if he can actually kill him. I'm assuming that he can't. And if he can't, there's definitely an argument to be made for just not showing him.
I think that's what he's thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the top 8 of a GP here.
With Iroas, creatures you control can't be blocked by, except by 2 or more creatures. Goblin War Drums effect is what we call that.
Yep. So it looks like Huey's decided just to bluff a little here and.
Yep. As soon as Wing just pointed to his supply line cranes.
Yep.
Jensen started scooping up his cards.
All right. So Wing's going to win the first game. Let's take a look at our top 8 bracket, though.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, so it was Jensen and Wing up there. Christian Calcano and Mike Sigrist. So the winner there is going to play the winner of Jensen Yam.
One grizzled East Coast veteran versus a future grizzled East Coast veteran.
He's already Calcano's already grizzled.
He's like in his 20s.
Yeah, he's already grizzled. He's
right.
fully grizzled. David Falk, John Alexander, kind of just quietly doing their thing.
I think it's Alexander John, isn't it?
Alexander John, sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's not your fault.
Yeah. Just kind of quietly doing their thing and, you know, waiting to see which one of them is going to win this Grand Prix.
So you're calling it. Upper right bracket is where our champion emerges.
Certainly our finalist is going to emerge. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
I know how this works.
So even if Yuya gets by Charles, you're saying he's just going to run right by him?
Yes.
Over Yuya?
Yeah, that's
Very
what's going to
bold play,
happen.
my
That's
friend.
how this works. That's how magic works.
Can I just take Yuya versus the world? Like, I'm fine with that.
You're scared to take Jensen versus the world down a game?
No, I'll take Jensen too. I didn't know I had that option.
All right, we're back here as these players, you know, make some adjustments, do a little tweaking. You know, like, oh, what could I bring in here? What would be good? You know, anything look to you interesting off of Jensen's sideboard? He clearly has something he wants to bring in. You know, maybe like a spark spray or.
What do you think about Great Heart? Dawn to Dusk? Not a lot here.
I mean, he really just wants something to disrupt that early. You know, he might want to just go a little more control-y, right?
Yeah, I mean, this sort of begs the eternal magic question of who's the beat down here, right? And when you have two aggressive decks go against each other, one of them has to decide, I'm going to be the one to not be the aggressor here, and then he's going to adjust his deck accordingly.
Right.
I mean, looking at this list, you know, Ben and I were talking earlier about Seder Hoplite, and we remarked that, you know, neither of us were particularly a big fan of the card.
Right.
And interesting, Huey's got one in his pile, not even running it.
Sure.
You know, it's just didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
I'm seeing just so many, like, Deserters Quarters, it's just too slow, I'm assuming. Font of Vigor's not what he wants to be doing.
No.
Oh, there's a Revoke Existence, he might want that.
Right. Interestingly, you know, we watched a match before between Brian Braun-Duin and Charles League, and League, you know, was a similar matchup of aggro decks, and League had just a Laguna Band Trailblazer. And, you know, that was just like the breaks.
Sure.
You know, and he was able to just sort of like climb back into a game on the back of that.
I did notice one card in Huey's sideboard. He's got Sands.
Scouring Sands.
That's
or
right.
Searing Sands?
Scouring Sands, and that could be interesting. You know, we didn't get to see a ton from Wing, but we did see a Seder Hoplite.
Right.
Huey is on the play here.
Right.
And you're pretty happy if you just get a creature with that
Oh,
thing.
absolutely. 1 for 1. I mean, I said Spark Spray, right? Like you'd bring in Spark Spray to get something.
Yeah, and you know, we also saw an Eagle of the Watch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that would kill that too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Huey brought that card in.
I've had my 2 loyal Pegasi gotten. Scoured.
That's pretty brutal, man.
You feel pretty good on turn 2.
And you get to scry.
Cards each.
Okay.
See land and spells for William Jensen. Does he have a plains? Yes, he does. Engage.
All right, engage indeed.
Yeah, Soldier of the Pantheon is his lead, and he's got a combat trick to back that up should he need it. Oh, a Kron Crusader.
Wing is just the aggroist here. He's got all the 1-drops. All right, as far as Warden, it looks like
that
it's
might
what
be the
Huey
card
had.
that might be the card that came in.
Wow.
Spirit of the Labyrinth. Neither red-white deck can draw more cards. Marshall shakes his head as Rashad peers Kilroy-like over his monitor to taunt him.
He'll never let me forget that. I'll also never let him forget it, though. It's kind of a mutual.
Yeah, mutually assured destruction there.
Yeah, we're like the Arrowist brothers or whatever. Just well, I gotta say, I like Huey's start of having 5 power on turn 2 in limited, but I will also say that Wing's got really one of the perfect foils to it with a Crone Crusader, because he can spew out a couple of 1/1s here over the course of the next turn or two, and they just trade off for real cards from Huey.
Right.
So it's pretty miserable.
Flame Speakers will, yeah, and he's only attacking with the creature that he gets off the heroic trigger from his Crone Crusader. Oh, look at this.
There it is. Wow, just
he's got a
all
3/3 and another 1/1, and he's just keeping, hopefully keeping, William Jensen at bay.
Yeah, I mean, Wing, his deck is really all in. I mean, he just went a Crone Crusader, double Flame Speaker's Will. Like, those are fringe playable cards.
Right.
Like, Flame Speaker's Will is kind of bad. You know, and a Crone Crusader is only good in the right deck, and then he looks like he's found one here.
Bad, but it looks pretty good here.
Look at Huey. He just 3/1 toughness creatures. He's got 8 power on the battle. I mean, there's some decks that miss a land drop and they're just dead by now.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately for Huey, that's just not the case.
Yeah, well, he ran into the mirror here.
Yeah.
Looks
So
like his eagle
we
on the
need a
watch.
Scouring Sands. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on Wing Chung's side, though, you know, he's got the shields up, but he's actually not destroying anybody here.
No,
I mean, he's
he's
attacking
not
for
even-
1 a turn. He can't even do that this turn. So, you know, I like where Wing's at as far as that, but look at that. He's not even attacking now.
It
So,
doesn't have a 4th land,
no.
and now the Warden's up.
This is where Erois could be huge, too.
Oh, Erois would be absolutely filthy here.
Yes. Now, let's see what Huey wants to do. He can't really do much here, actually. He's going to have to
probably
pass
going
the
to
turn
pass,
back.
take the turn, and wants to use his.
Wing is just the sickest. Look at him squeeze out that card. He tapped the
appreciate
top
that?
of his library. He just did the slow squeeze. He found a mountain. I'm pretty sure he's just digging for planes is what he'd like to see. I see he's got a supply line cranes in his hand.
Passes the turn, tap a token.
So Huey's got Battle-Wise Valor, land, and I couldn't quite see what the other card was, BDM.
It might be, does he have a Deicide or a Reprisal
Oh.
in his list?
Let me look. He has a Deicide.
Oh, there you go.
Deicide probably not doing a ton here. I mean, he's not going to want to use it to take out just random Flame
It's a little bit
Speakers
of a
will.
combat. It gives -1/-1 to the Crone Crusader in combat.
At instant speed, sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just none of Huey's creatures can enter combat, even with a 2/2 here and survive. Another land off the top for Wing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
Wrong color.
it's another mountain. So, all right, now Huey's changed his tone a little bit. He's going to start tapping down the big creature.
Is that the Sands?
Is it? It is Scouring Sands. We talked about it coming into the match, or into the round, and he's going to
Good
wipe
call,
away
Marshall.
the board. Yeah, and I think we're going to see a huge chunk of damage come down here. He's even going to leave the Warden up just in case.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the Crusader were to get targeted, he could tap down the
Get
token.
in for 8.
8? Boom! That's a big hit.
And that's lethal next turn with a Battle-Wise Valor.
Okay, so
Right, that's
the heat is on. Wing
comes-
needs to find something.
Yeah. Wow. And it kind of has to be a little bigger than a 3, because Warden can tap and then tap whatever you play.
Right. Yeah, he essentially has 2 taps stored up there. A lot of white cards in hand for Wing.
But it's a lot of red mana, so are you ready to commit? Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna pump anything. I'm fine. I can wait a turn.
Yeah, I mean, he's got plenty of creatures here. Would be tempting to go for it, but it's pretty risky.
Look great coming out of the gates with a Crone Crusader. Make 2 guys. Have a 3/3, but we went to the sideboard.
Yeah.
Is the Afar's Warden a sideboard card as well?
Yeah, it's got to be. Actually, no. Remember, he did say, 23.
Yeah.
So let's see if he ended up main decking it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's in the main.
It looks like he main decked every white card from Theros that he drafted,
including Ray of Dissolution here too. So yeah, he said it. Last Breath, not great in a deck like this either.
So, we've got a result.
Yu versus the field.
Yep, Yu Watanabe has advanced to face the winner of David Falk and Alexander John. I mean, I'm just telling you, I know how this is going to go.
You called it. I'm not getting in your way this weekend, man. You were calling out what my opponents were playing while I was playing on Magic Line, sitting 10 feet from you. So.
Yeah, by the way, if you enjoy watching the likes of William Jensen and Yu Watanabe and Christian Calcano drafting and playing Magic, you're going to be able to follow these guys in just really like a few weeks when we go to Portland, Oregon. I heard some stuff about a draft train leaving from Seattle.
Choo-choo.
Portland, Oregon, August 1st through 3rd. We're going to have Magic 2015 standard constructed. So this is going to be the biggest that standard gets over the course of its year.
That's a big deal.
Right? 2 different core sets. You know, the full Ravnica block and the full Theros block to work with. You know, are we going to see something that's, you know, able to displace Pack Rats and, you know, Mono Blue Devotion? Not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards to choose from there.
And this is the first time we're going to watch people draft core set at the highest level of competition.
Which I'm really excited for, because I've particularly enjoyed the last 2 core sets, especially M13. I loved M13. Right. M14 I drafted a lot.
Yeah, Ben was talking about how much he loved M14.
He loves M14, yeah. And I'm a big fan. I don't have it quite as high as he does. I actually prefer M13. I think it was excellent. But I'm excited to see pros drafted. And
yeah, you know, that's going to be just unbelievable. That's going to be the first thing we're going to kick off with on Friday morning is, you know, a draft pod chock full of the best names we can find, you know, drafting Magic 2015 on camera.
Yep.
We have another result. Alexander John has stepped up to bat against Yu Watanabe.
Good luck, Alex. That's Yu Watanabe you're playing against.
David, your opponent this round will be Goliath.
Who's on the play, you know? This is going to be a sweet game 3, though. A real slugfest in this mirror.
Don't feel intimidated. He only has 20 more Grand Prix top 8s than you.
Unbelievable, Yuya.
Yeah, just unreal.
Somehow underrated, too. It's like he doesn't get mentioned as often with the
two Pro Tour top 8s. Kind of like, you know, Pro Tour top 8s, unfortunately or fortunately, are kind of where you know, where the most, that's the most famous finish you get as a Magic player.
Right.
So, all right, players are looking at their starting 7.
I'd like to see some keeps here.
Yeah, I always want to see keeps, and we are.
No 1-drop.
No.
No 1-drop there either. Wonder if Wing has adjusted to the scouring stance potentially. No 2-drop. What is going on here?
Yeah, well, William Jensen's not having any of it. He's like, I've got a 2-drop.
Sure.
It's one of the best.
It's a good one.
A Crow and Skyguard.
What?
I don't know.
Did he keep a creatureless hand?
All right. We're getting in for 1 with the Skyguard. And no play from Jensen. They're playing this old school kind of control-y, one permanent at a time.
This is suspicious.
Kragma Butcher.
Yeah, on turn 4. Now, I'm not saying he couldn't have just drawn it, but he might have also just waited a turn to have white mana up to be able to protect it.
Right, one mana showing.
You know, being under no pressure from if you're Wing Chun means that he had an extra turn there if he wanted to try to leave up something like a God's Willing or an Ajani's Presence to protect his main threat here. Unfortunately for him, the Inspired isn't going to save that thing from the Ifara's Warden.
It untaps and the Inspired goes on the stack, and then you just tap it again.
Exactly.
5 mana. This smells bestowy. Or it could be supply liney.
Ah, supply line cranes. Love that one. I have that one a little higher than
Ben?
most people. Well, yeah, than Ben for sure.
Do you have it above Oresco's Swift Claw?
You know, that's a good question. Probably.
Do you have,
it's
do you
close.
have it above the Fortifier?
Yes.
Okay.
Significantly.
Okay.
The real question is the Johnny's Presence or that one, and that one I'm not sure about, but I like threats, man. He's deciding where to put this
Token, yeah, counter is on the stack.
Gotcha. Generally, you'd probably want to diversify your threats out a little bit here. That's what he does. You can get one extra damage in by putting it on there, but makes your supply line cranes a bit worse, and you know, it hasn't seen too many ways to interact with it yet. Skyguard's got a long way to go before it gets big enough to tussle with the cranes.
Just remind people, you know, with the cap, you know, William Jensen just set the record. 8th Grand Prix top 8 of the year.
Congrats to him.
Congratulations to him. Breaks the record held by his great friend Owen Turtenwald. But, you know, he needs a top 4 finish here in order to advance in his point total for the year, because he is over the 5 Grand Prix cap. So there we see exactly as we talked about.
He is well over the 5 Grand Prix cap as well. You left that behind a few months ago.
Yeah, a top 4 finish is the only thing that'll get him a point as he creeps up.
Maybe this
on
should change it to 8. Your 8.
Change
your 8
it
top
to
8s.
whatever number the most number of top 8s the year was the previous year.
Well, no, I was thinking just your top 8 top 8s. I'm not sure if a clever wordplay is a good reason to change it. There's probably a little more math that needs to be
I know Jensen would probably agree with you.
Actually, with 8 from him, yeah, he would be quite thrilled.
Okay, supply line cranes gets in for 3.
So Wing moves a little closer to his goal. He's ahead on board. Again.
Rave Dissolution takes out the Oppressive Rays.
That's right. That's going to also gain Huey 3 life there, which is a nice little bump
in the
these
red
close
white
races. Yeah.
See Scouring Sands in hand for Jensen, but no real use for it.
I wonder if Wing sideboarded differently. I mean, we saw him with no 1 and no 2.
Yeah.
I don't know how much wiggle room he had in the board to kind of beef up his creatures, but he might have gone to a little bit more of a normal, you know, mid-range-ish.
Yeah, we may have also just seen the you know, we may have just seen the segment of his deck that's the bottom part of his curve. And there's the god. There's Iroas.
So Iroas got a victory. This guy's mean.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pips.
He's got 5. He's close. All right, now what Wing's doing is the trick. Inspired is on the stack, and it's been targeted by the Afar's Warden, but he's going to actually fire off Titan Strength here to prevent that from happening. Right now, Huey is blockerless.
But he's at 18.
Yes, he is at 18.
But he's going to take 10.
But Wing's got to be careful, right? I mean, if he goes a little too crazy here, he could take a big hit on the backswing too. This is going to be one of those back and forth fights, I think. Yeah,
you can't
time
just
to do
leave
some math, Wing.
You can't just leave one creature back to block. And you can't block profitably no matter what you do. All right, 5 mana. Another supply line cranes.
It's like Wing's on the same train I am.
He's like, get in there for 11.
Wow.
That's 7 from the Butcher.
Right.
You know, 2 plus 2 for the Inspired Trigger, 3 for the Titan Strength, and then 4 from the cranes. That crane, that other crane cannot block. So, what does Jensen have here?
Remember, Iroas not a creature currently.
Right. Looks like he's holding Forgeborn Oreads, but I do not think he has his second mountain.
I think you're right. That would do the trick here too, at least getting Iroas active, putting down a blocker for the Kragma Butcher.
11.
Right now, Wing cannot kill Huey in the air, at least as the board sits. He's 1 point short, doing 6 in the air instead of the requisite 7. And Huey maybe just needed a mountain here. I mean,
Yeah.
he drops Wing down to 14 if he wants to ping Wing, and then he gets to attack for 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 11 here. More likely he just attacks for 10 though, and puts Wing in a horrible position where he needs a burn spell or a combat trick or something to get him. And it looks like he's going to Scouring Sands just to dig.
He's thinking.
Huey's realized that he is not, it's not getting any better, and he has basically 2 dead cards in his hand. He's got a Plains, and he's got the Forgeborn Oreads that he can't cast. And what has he found him? Look how deep in the tank he is here. Wow, this is going to be close. I feel like Wing is in a winning spot here. Looking to take down Huey in his 8th top 8 of the season.
Huey attacks. The Cranes can't block. He kept that on top, didn't he?
He did. I think he did.
Taps the Butcher.
Now Wing tanks it out. This is interesting. I think he's only got 1 card left in his hand here. Is it a pump spell? If it is, he could just win here, assuming Huey has nothing. It is.
God's willing.
Well,
it's not a pump spell, but it's protection from white.
And it's lethal enough. So I think Wing's going to win right here. Huey stoic, as ever.
He's doing the math.
I mean, he's thinking about Divine Verdict
He's like, what
here.
could happen here?
I mean, the Butcher's going to have protection from white, so it can't be verdicted. But he does need to get in with that and the biggest supply line Cranes in order to win. Otherwise, it's just 6 again, and he could open himself up to be getting killed. And also, Wing has to remember that
and this is the card Wing's going to draw for the turn, right? So
yep.
This is all happening during his upkeep. Or during his untap.
Now, I think what's going to happen is Wing is probably going to be forced to just go for it here, in which case he's going to win. But if he decides to get cute, nope, he doesn't, and that's going to do it. Wing Yam, he is going to advance.
Our number 1 seed remains in control.
Super aggressive deck, and even more aggressive than Huey's, and he takes him down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that Huey could have, with another mountain, could have gotten in there for just enough. It was going to be pretty close.
Mm-hmm. He would have done it next turn. He gets to get 1 ping off of the Oreads. Yeah, he can do a ton of damage.
But it was really like old school looking Theros, red-white heroic deck from Wing Chun Yam. We saw Titan Strength and we saw God's Willing, both doing the God's work.